Hey there. When we think of the United States, one of the first things that comes to mind is its vibrant economy. From the bustling cities to the vast farmlands, the U.S. economy is a complex and dynamic system that touches the lives of millions of people every day. It's no wonder that the state of the U.S. economy is constantly in the news, with analysts, policymakers, and everyday folks alike weighing in on its ups and downs. However, despite its vibrant economy, we can't also deny the fact that these days, the U.S. economy faces trouble. And we will tell you the reasons why. In an interview with Peter Schiff on the Megyn Kelly Show, he pointed out different reasons why the U.S. economy deteriorates over time. By the way, Peter Schiff is an American businessman, financial commentator, and author who is best known for his views on economics and investing. Peter Schiff is the CEO and Chief Global Strategist of Euro-Pacific Capital Incorporated, a brokerage firm that focuses on foreign securities. He is also the founder and chairman of Schiff Gold, a precious metals dealer. So, going back, Schiff pointed out that one of the reasons why the U.S. economy is in trouble is because of the high unemployment rate.
So I think if you objectively measured the unemployment rate and included all the people who are not working, but who would be working if they believe they can find a job, or who have settled for a part-time job when they'd prefer a full-time job, I'm sure the actual unemployment rate is in the double digits.
To begin with, it is important to understand how unemployment affects the economy. When people are out of work, they have less money to spend, which can lead to a decrease in demand for goods and services. This, in turn, can lead to lower profits for businesses and potentially even more layoffs. Additionally, when there are a large number of unemployed people, it can put pressure on government resources, as more people need assistance with things like healthcare, housing, and food. Schiff has argued that the high unemployment rate in the U.S. is one of the main reasons why the economy is struggling. He points out that despite a growing stock market and low interest rates, many Americans are still struggling to find work. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the unemployment rate in the U.S. was 4.9% in January 2016, which was down from its peak of 10% in 2009, but still above pre-recession levels. Schiff believes that one of the main reasons for this high unemployment rate is the Federal Reserve's monetary policy. He argues that the Fed's decision to keep interest rates artificially low has made it difficult for businesses to invest in new projects and hire new employees. In Schiff's view, the low interest rates have created a bubble in the stock market, which has led to a misallocation of resources and a lack of investment in the real economy. To support his argument, Schiff points to the fact that despite the low interest rates, business investment in the U.S. has been relatively weak. According to data from the Bureau of Economic Analysis, business investment as a percentage of GDP has been stagnant at around 17% since 2011. This is in contrast to the late 1990s and early 2000s when business investment was around 20% of GDP. Schiff also argues that the high unemployment rate is a result of government policies that discourage work. He points to things like the minimum wage and government welfare programs as examples of policies that make it less attractive for people to work. Schiff believes that if the government were to reduce or eliminate these programs, more people would be motivated to enter the workforce, which would ultimately lead to a stronger economy. Critics of Schiff's argument point out that there are many factors that contribute to the unemployment rate, including technological change and globalization. They also argue that the government has a role to play in ensuring that all Americans have access to basic necessities like healthcare and food, and that these programs can help support people while they look for work. Despite these criticisms, it is clear that the high unemployment rate in the U.S. is a major concern for many people. Whether or not Schiff's argument is completely accurate, it is important to recognize that there are many factors that contribute to the state of the economy, and that finding solutions to these problems will require a comprehensive approach that takes into account a wide range of factors. Another factor that contributed as to why the U.S. economy is in trouble is understating inflation. Schiff argues that the government has been misleading the public about the true rate of inflation, which has led to a significant decline in real wages for many Americans.
And I think the real decline is being masked by the fact that we are understating inflation. I think the actual inflation rate is about double what the government will admit to. And that means that the real decline in wages is much greater.
Inflation is the rate at which the overall price level of goods and services in an economy is increasing over time. The most commonly used measure of inflation in the U.S. is the Consumer Price Index, CPI, which is calculated by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The CPI is used to track the prices of a basket of goods and services that represent the typical spending patterns of consumers in the U.S. Schiff argues that the CPI significantly understates the true rate of inflation in the U.S. He believes that the government has manipulated the calculation of the CPI to make it appear lower than it actually is. Schiff points out that the CPI does not take into account certain factors, such as the rising cost of healthcare, education, and housing, which are all significant expenses for most Americans. To support his argument, Schiff cites data from alternative measures of inflation, such as the ShadowStats alternate CPI, which takes into account a broader range of goods and services than the CPI. According to the ShadowStats alternate CPI, the true rate of inflation in the U.S. is closer to 10% rather than the 2 to 3% that the government typically reports. Schiff argues that the understated inflation rate has had a significant impact on real wages in the U.S. Real wages are wages adjusted for inflation, meaning they reflect the actual purchasing power of a worker's salary. According to Schiff, the real decline in wages is much greater than what is reported by the government, as the CPI significantly understates the true rate of inflation. To illustrate this point, Schiff cites data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics that shows that the median weekly earnings of full-time workers have only increased by 3% since 2000 after adjusting for inflation. This is in contrast to the 21% increase in median weekly earnings that was reported in nominal terms, not adjusted for inflation. In other words, while wages may have increased on paper, the actual purchasing power of those wages has declined significantly due to inflation. In addition to high unemployment rates and understated inflation, there are several other factors that have contributed to the current state of the U.S. economy, like the high level of national debt, growing income inequality gap, and health crises like that of COVID-19 pandemic that led to widespread business closures, job losses, and reduced consumer spending. While the challenges facing the U.S. economy are significant, there is also reason for optimism. The government has already taken steps to address some of these issues, such as providing stimulus packages to support individuals and businesses during the pandemic. Additionally, the private sector has shown resilience and adaptability in the face of economic uncertainty, finding new ways to innovate and create value. Moving forward, it will be crucial for policymakers, businesses, and individuals to continue working together to address the challenges facing the U.S. economy. This will require a combination of short-term measures, such as targeted stimulus packages and job training programs, as well as longer-term investments in infrastructure, education, and technology. By working together and taking a strategic approach, we can create a more prosperous and sustainable economy for all Americans. What do you think about this topic? Let me know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.